Hi, my name's John Dray, and I want to share with you a story just now that does suggest that truth can sometimes really be stranger than fiction. So imagine me on York Station waiting for a train to London early in the morning, and of course I'm still half awake and half asleep, but ready to go to London for a meeting which I was to chair. And in fact, I was supposed to bring some inspirational thoughts to begin the meeting. So not surprisingly, I'm standing on the platform at York Station, and the train pulls in, and the signs say and the announcements say, "This is the train for London," so on I go. Of course, what I didn't know was that it wasn't my train, because at the time my home base was in the northeast of Scotland. And when you're living there, there are probably only 2 trains a day that would go to London. So I immediately assumed this was it. Actually, I was supposed to wait another 10 minutes for the next train to London. The thought that there would be so many trains going there from York simply hadn't entered my thinking at that point in time. So of course I had a ticket, I had a seat reservation, but it turned out obviously that the seat wasn't there. So I had to find a new place to sit, which I did. I spotted an empty seat across the table from another man who would have been about my kind of age, I guess, and sat down there. Settled myself to prepare the inspirational thoughts that I would use in this meeting. I was going to get those inspirational thoughts out of the Bible, so I fished a Bible out of my bag, and it just so happened it was a rather unusual looking Bible because it had a cover made of tin plate. Okay, so, and it was bright orange. Not your typical looking Bible. I could see the man sitting opposite me looking at me with a rather curious look, obviously wondering what on earth I was doing with a book in a tin. And eventually he couldn't contain his curiosity. He said, "I've never seen a book like that before. What is it?" And so I told him it was a Bible, and I was going to a meeting where I was hoping to share some inspirational thoughts. It could have been the end of a beautiful conversation, but instead he asked me a straight question. He said, "Okay," he said, "if you're reading the Bible, what do you think about angels? Do you believe in angels?" And he then went on to tell me a story. He turned out to be a neurosurgeon, a brain surgeon from Newcastle, a couple of stops further along the line than where I'd got on. And he said, "Tell me what you think about this." He said, "A couple of years ago, I was doing an operation in somebody with very weird kind of symptoms." And he said, "I'm in the operating theatre and we'd just taken the lid off this guy's head. And he said, I'm looking inside it and thinking, my goodness, this is like nothing we've ever seen before. It looks like his brains are just like spaghetti, as if something's churned them all up. As if somebody's put a kitchen mixer inside or something like that." And he said, "We're just looking puzzled, me and my team, and saying, what are we going to do here? Will we just put the lid back on because we're not sure what to do?" And he said, then at that very moment, the door of the operating theatre opened, and this little old woman carrying a shopping basket came in through the door. He said, we all looked up, obviously, and she said, "Well, actually, if you look here and poke around there and do something else at that point," and he said, "we found ourselves following her instructions." And he said, "I then looked up and she's on her way out. All I could see was her going out back through the door she'd come in, carrying her basket, wearing her outdoor clothes." Now, he said, this was 2 years ago. He said, "I have no idea how that woman got in there, because she was just like, her clothes might have been dirty. Certainly weren't sterile. She was carrying a shopping basket, so what did she know about brain surgery?" She was just your average granny. He said that was a couple of years ago, and so far as we can see, that patient, up to this point anyway, has made a full recovery. So he said, tell me, what do you think was going on there? Was that old woman an angel in disguise? You can imagine we had an interesting conversation for the rest of the journey. My answer was, well, why not? Why should she not have been an angel? Everything was so weird in that story and that context. She was certainly somebody special. Actually, I'm pretty sure she was an angel, because I've got other stories about encounters with angels, one of which I've actually seen angels myself, but that's another story for another day. I think that one's probably given you quite enough to think about right now.